Hey guys, Jennifer still hasn't let me use my laptop. I still don't know the password, but her boyfriend has a new PC, and they let me use it to play some games, make some memes. Some of the games I've been playing a lot are Unfortunate Spacemen and Among Us. You probably have heard of at least one of them. They both have a very similar premise where you're guys in space, and one or some of them actually want to kill everyone. And while Among Us is way more popular than Unfortunate Spacemen, it kind of sucks dick in comparison. Now, when I said this, Jennifer's boyfriend's friends were bullying the hell out of me, yelling and yelling, "Oh, you're not giving it a chance, you're just trying to hate it." Well, you know what, Roderick? I've had enough of your shit. How about these numbers, Roderick? Do I have a big boy opinion now, you jerky-eating jerk? Part 1. What you do. So, in Among Us, the tasks the humans have to do are scattered all over the ship. You see them on your map. You see them underneath, like, the task complete. They're, like, random things. Empty the chute. Download the files. It's like a WarioWare micro game where it doesn't explicitly tell you what to do. There's one shield game where it's just a bunch of hexagons and you have to get them all to be white. And there's only a couple of them that are anything more than just hold down the button or flip the switch that's lit up. Like, there's a couple that are actual mini games, like the weapons one where you're shooting at the missiles, and there's one where their buttons are 1 through 10. You have to hit them in order. But for the most part, they're only there to distract you and keep you in one place so that someone might be able to sneak up on you and kill you. In Unfortunate Spacemen, the objectives have a little bit more thought put into them. And I know what you're thinking. It's like, oh, all you're doing is picking up an egg and bringing it to a spot. All you're doing is picking up trash. All you're doing is hitting a button. And yeah, you're right, Roderick. On a surface level, it's not really that complicated. But what makes it integrate into the game is the way that it relates to the other mechanics in the game. In Unfortunate Spaceman, there is an oxygen mechanic where there are parts outside of the base that you cannot stay for too long or you will suffocate. The monster does not have to worry about this. And on every level, I'm pretty sure, all of the places where you have to pick up the rubble from the launch pads are outside. And because doors can be locked, and you can be locked out, it can be pretty stressful to have to go out and, like, tediously click E on every single piece of trash that's there. And with the eggs that you have to bring, you put them into the chutes. If you yourself step into the chute, you die instantly, and you can be pushed into it. So that's another, and you have to carry the eggs sometimes all across the map, where you have to put it down to arm yourself, which makes you helpless. And then with the satellites, it takes a long time to upload, and yeah, you can just click the button and leave, but you can turn it off. The monster can turn it off. So if you're not careful and you're not watching it, you can just lose the progress. All of the objectives, they tie in with the other mechanics to make the game more complete. I guess if that makes sense. But in Among Us, it's just a series of unrelated mini games, and like, the monster has the ability to sabotage. I was only the monster once in this footage. You just open up the map and click on something, and then alarms blare, and they have to play a specific mini game to turn it off. But all it really does is put a timer on the humans that they have to meet to not die. It doesn't really actually change how they play the game. It just makes them run to wherever the map is lit up. And I mean, there's something similar in Unfortunate Spaceman, where when the monster turns the power off, and then everyone has to go to the generators. But while the power is off, you can't do anything else. The game changes so drastically when the lights are down, and sometimes even your comms are down. There's just... And that brings us to our next point. Part 2. Talking. In Among Us, when you do everyone has their own tasks, as opposed to Unfortunate Spaceman, where it's the same set of tasks that everyone can team up on. Like in Among Us, it is one collective bar, I guess, but it's split up among all the people. So you can be in a situation where you've done everything you can do, and you're just waiting on other people to get their stuff done. In Unfortunate Spaceman, the alien can actually complete the human objectives. He can pick up the trash, he can turn on the satellites, he can deliver the eggs and seal them and stuff. It's not always necessarily in his best interest to do so, but you can do it. In Among Us, you can't do any tasks. You just have to pretend that you are by standing still next to the spots that you know are usually tasks, and like it'll give you the list of what the tasks the humans are doing, so you sort of have an idea of where to go. But like the bar of progress moves up when a task is completed. So when the alien is pretending to do a task, it doesn't move up. So if you could communicate, then you would just move as a group, take turns doing tasks, see which one doesn't move the bar up, and then you know who it is. The most similar comparison I can make to Unfortunate Spaceman is the fact that the alien's disguise isn't infinite. He has to occasionally switch to monster form. So you could, theoretically, just stand around in a group and just sit around and wait. And I mean, I'm sure that will happen, and it sucks. But in Among Us, you all start always in the same room, and you all move back to that room after every round finishes. In Unfortunate Spaceman, you spawn across the map, and yeah, it'll vary. Sometimes you'll be right next to each other, and that can happen. Sometimes you spawn right next to the monster and they kill you. But generally, you'll end up a lot more often in situations where some stuff has already happened before you've met with everyone. So, in Among Us, if you could speak with each other and communicate during the game, the whole game would break. And their solution to that is that you just can't talk at all until the voting happens. You just silently walk around the room and do what you gotta do. Every time someone is following someone else, they get paranoid, even though all that's actually happening is you want to have vision of them, because if you don't, then they're probably going to run off and be the monster. The proximity voice chat in Unfortunate Spaceman just makes it so much more interesting and thematic. It gives you the ability to tell different things to different people, which makes the deception element like 10 times deeper. In Among Us, the most you can do is say like, oh, this guy was doing this, and all you can really do is hope that they trust you. But in Unfortunate Spaceman, especially because in Unfortunate Spaceman the monster can change which human he's disguised as, so both games have an element where you can look through the cameras and stuff. And in Among Us, if you see the alien doing something sketchy like that, it's just game over. But in Unfortunate Spaceman, you can disguise as someone else, walk by a camera, do some suspicious shit, And now anyone watching thinks it's that person. Because another beautiful thing that makes Unfortunate Spaceman so much better than Among Us is that your names are not visible during the game. You're identified only by your color. If there were a mechanic like that in Among Us, it wouldn't matter because Weehaw meme would be over your head. So it's still me. But if it was just orange and I could become blue, then they don't have any idea. It's just so much bigger. Part 3, Monster and Player Interaction. Okay, I meant to say interaction. So before you say that, Roderick, yes, I know it was misspelled. It was just an accident. It doesn't take away from my point, okay? In Among Us, you're killing them, but it's not like a fight. You just walk up near them and press the kill button, and it plays a little animation, and they're dead. And the lobby will set a cooldown on this action, because otherwise, as soon as the game started, you would just mash it and win. So there's that. But because Unfortunate Spaceman is an FPS, and a 3D FPS at that, the monster has to actually kill the humans with fighting. He has a dodge ability. He attacks with his claws, which do a lot of damage. He can lay the mines, or they're like facehugger things. But while he's disguised as a human, he can also still use the guns. So there's an actual combat element alongside the deception element. I know some people probably like Among Us better because they don't like having to resort to the combat element. They don't want to do the shooter part, they just want to play Mafia. And I guess that's fine. But I don't know why you wouldn't just play Mafia in that case. The most important distinction this makes between the two games is that in Unfortunate Spaceman, you can kill people without revealing your monster form. You can kill people without even being in the same room as them. And so, even when people have eyes directly on you, you can still have stuff happening that's furthering you to winning. In Among Us, if people are staring at you, unless it's someone by themselves that you can just click, you're stuck. You have to just stand in place, do a task and hope they aren't looking at the bar, or run and hope they don't follow you. In Unfortunate Spaceman, because you can't just bring the game to a halt every time a death happens, you can be in a situation where there's 3 people in a room, you kill one of them, and one maybe gets away. And he's gonna be like, it's this person, it's this person, it's this person. And they might be inclined to believe them. But you could very well say that it's the other person that survived, that they actually killed it. And unless they happen to be using the cameras to look in the room at that time, they don't have anything to go off of but your word. Are you seeing now, Roderick, how, like, Among Us is like a kiddie pool, and Unfortunate Spaceman is a fucking ocean? The part about variables. Now, I know this is gonna make it sound like I'm trying to bring math into the equation, but I promise you I'm not. What I mean by variables is the stuff in the game that changes the way that the game plays out, changes the way you perceive the game, changes the way the information in the game is processed. Among Us is much, much simpler than Unfortunate Spaceman. And as I kind of said earlier, some people like it for that reason, and it's not a bad game for that reason. Like, games don't have to be complex to be good. The FPS element of Unfortunate Spaceman means that it has like gadgets and stuff alongside the weapons. So there's like the oxygen tanks so that you can survive outside longer, a map reader so that you can scan for where the objectives are, radio so you can talk to people over a long distance. And again, all these things that aren't locked out for the imposter from using. So, like, they can get in on your secrets, and you may be like, oh, why does this guy really want the map objective? This guy really wants the oxygen thing. But is it because he really needs it, or is it because he doesn't want you to have it? These are a lot of conversations that should be having all the time in Unfortunate Spaceman, because it's just the nature of a game that has that many moving parts. In contrast, Among Us has the minigame objectives, and it has 2 extra things, I think, in the admin room. There's like a little mini-map that'll show how many people are in each room, and then there's the camera room where you can peer into the cameras. And as I said, there are cameras in Unfortunate Spaceman too, and you can control them to an extent, and they can be destroyed. They can't be in Among Us. Cameras just mean that survivors are omnipotent as long as they're in that room. And goals are never in that room, so that's supposed to be the trade-off. But you can just move in a group, have one guy finish all his objectives, and then go to the computer room, and you lock down the game. And again, the only way they can stop this from happening is just to turn off the ability to talk at all. But if this is supposed to be like a party game, do you really want to sit in the room together silently? Because I know one of the other things that people are going to say that puts this above Unfortunate Spaceman is that it's on mobile. And yeah, that's a benefit. But for it being mobile to matter, you all have to be in the same place. And you're just sitting around in a circle, staring at your phones silently? Jackie. In being a mobile game about trying to root out alien imposters among a ship, Among Us has some overlap with Don't Push the Button, which is a Jackbox game in the 6th pack, I think. And that game doesn't require you to be silent. It's not fully mobile, someone has to own it on a system, but only one of them for everyone to play. And what was I gonna say? But even that is deeper than Among Us, because it has an in-game mechanic that permeates throughout the whole game that people can use to their advantage, and that's that the aliens have hacks that they can use to get the correct prompt. Well, for anyone who doesn't know, in Don't Push the Button, you quiz people with different things, like draw an elephant, or like what's your favorite candy, and you put in an answer or you choose an answer. The aliens don't get the right question, so their answers might look sus, but the aliens have hacks, which they can use on themselves to get the actual prompt, so they can put a real answer, or to make someone else get the wrong prompt, to make them look sus, even though they aren't the imposter. So this is something that you always have to hold to account. Did he actually get hacked? Is that actually his answer? Do we just not know him well enough? Does he just have the brain of a goldfish? It adds to the game. This is what Among Us needs. It needs some sort of mechanic that you can hold over the other players' heads. As it is right now, without that, it's just word against word. I saw this happen. I didn't see that. Well, I guess we can't vote then. I think there's actually like something seriously wrong with me. Now, I haven't played either of these games, like, on release, and to be honest, I don't even know how long both of them have been out. I don't know which one came first. I know that there was a period of time where this genre of space social deduction game was really big, and there were a lot of games like it coming out. Unfortunate Spaceman is currently free to play. It wasn't always, and I don't know how expensive it was when it cost money. Among Us on mobile is free, but it has ads. On Steam, it's $5. And I don't know if that's a price reduction, and maybe at some point Among Us was the cheaper version of Unfortunate Spaceman. But now that Unfortunate Spaceman is free, it's become the cheaper version of Among Us. And like I said, Among Us being simpler doesn't make it a bad game, but it feels kind of crazy to me that people want to spend money to get a watered down experience of a free game. Like, it's not even that it's particularly easier than Unfortunate Spaceman. If what you're looking for is the talking points and the trying to figure it out, that still exists in Unfortunate Spaceman. It's you having more or less the same conversations. You just have to think about a few more things. I mean, if you were looking to play this kind of game, I would think that you can have more than one thing in your brain at once. I mean, maybe not, but on a sheer, like, number to number content comparison, Unfortunate Spaceman has more stuff in it. Like, that's not an opinion, that's just the way it is. It's got like 15 maps, it's got a lot of customization, it's got a perk system, so even between games you have different abilities. It's got all the different weapons, you can customize which weapons appear, you can customize all sorts of things about the game. Among Us has some customization too. You can change the kill cooldown, you can change how fast you move, and there are other maps. There's only 3 of them. I've never seen anyone play a map that isn't the default one. Maybe they are really different, I just can't say that I know. But I have played other maps in Unfortunate Spaceman, and some of them have their own mechanics. Like one where instead of outside in space, the outside areas are underwater, so you drop into it. Or like Abduction, where you can get beamed up into a big spaceship. Or The Experiment, where it's all a maze, and there's an overlook where you can like look out over all of it. Among Us, in this way, Among Us feels like one of those useless early access games where they release a game, it doesn't have that much stuff in it, but they say early access, and that protects them from all criticism. The good stuff will just come later. Don't you like the game? You will. Buy it anyway, and eventually it'll be good. And then 3 years later, they'll drip feed it some new content. Unfortunate Spaceman just recently had a really big update where they did some balance changes for the monster. They made it a bit easier for him to hide, and they changed the airlock systems. And that's cool that the game can be changed in that way. Among Us could never do this, because it has no mechanics that it could change. Like, this game that you're playing now, that's all it's gonna be. And where is that gonna be in 2 weeks? I mean, as it is, 99% of the people that play these games only know about them because their personality is that they watch content creators that found it. Yeah, you're right, I was trolling this whole time. I actually love Among Us. It's a 10 out of 10. It's way better than Unfortunate Spaceman. This was the only way that I could tell you my opinion without being bullied out of the voice. I don't even know you guys. I don't know why I care this much about it. I don't know why I think that any of my opinions should be taken seriously, or that I could have an opinion that could be taken seriously. I mean, I would have to have at least 24 minutes and 59 seconds of Among Us footage that I put my voice over to have an opinion on it. So, I don't even know what I'm doing here.